1:15 ratio, 1:16 ratio, and 1:17 ratio. So let's try my favorite ratio to make a cup of coffee, which is the 1:15 ratio. And the reason why I like 1:15 ratio, it's because it gives me the best of both worlds. It's strong enough to where I can actually taste the clarity and it's not so heavy in my mouth, but isn't as crazy thin as I would say as the other ones that we're about to taste. Sometimes I feel like when you go up, or the percentage of what you're dealing with when you're drinking a cup of coffee, it's very hard to decipher what you're really tasting. And I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, you're just used to 1:15, so you're used to that strength, which is true. It's more so that's just the way I like making coffee. You may have a way or a reason why you like to make the cup of coffee that you like to make, which is perfectly fine again. So let's go ahead and taste the 1:15 ratio. It's there, full body. Slightly has like a bitterness type of ting on the coffee. Exact same grind size on these coffees, okay? I actually been experimenting with 1:16 lately. And the reason why I have been doing that is because I've been noticing that the coffee is a little bit less strict, if that makes any sense. This is not as tight and the tastes are really coming through a little bit more. So here's the 1:16 ratio. It still has that bitterness type of ting on the end of it, which is perfectly fine, but it's more balanced. I'm getting a little bit more of a perfumey type of taste from this cup of coffee too, which I really wasn't getting from the 1:15 ratio. And that's one of the things that you have to remember too, is like as you increase the strength of the coffee, you will tend to actually taste less of the actual coffee with it being so strong. I wouldn't say that it's cloudy or anything, but it's more like condensed. It could get to the point to where you're actually tasting just a heaviness of the coffee and you can't really taste the different characteristics of the coffee is all about. I think that's why a lot of people go with a little bit higher ratio so they can taste a little bit more. Again, I think there is a law of diminishing return on that aspect of it too. Okay, so this is 1:17. I really don't do this. This is probably way beyond what I usually do. Well, let's go ahead and taste it and see what we taste. No real bitterness on the end of that. The flavor is there, but it's less pronounced. There's no ting of that bitterness at all. It's a little bit of the perfumey taste that I actually like in this cup of coffee, but it's not as pronounced as the 1:16 ratio. Now what we're gonna do is gonna do 1:17 and then 1:15 to see the extreme of that, okay? Yeah, it's still pleasant. Okay, it's kind of mellowed down a little bit. Yeah, that bitterness type of still tasting lingers a little bit. It's less heavy than it was when it was a little bit hotter. And remember, this one's a lot cooler compared to the other ones, just because we did this one first. All right, yeah, that bitterness type of acidity still lingers a little bit longer than what I would have liked in this particular cup of coffee. Yeah. It's delicate enough. And I don't like tea, but it's delicate enough to where you can actually taste what you're drinking. Wow, it's more balanced. It talks to me a little bit more. The smell of the perfumey type of taste is resonating in the flavors that I'm tasting. Yeah, this one you're gonna have to like stay on it a little bit longer because since it doesn't linger as much compared to the 1:15 or probably even a stronger ratio of a cup of coffee, you have to like be more present. You have to stay with it a little bit longer. You have to like see the intricacies of what you're actually tasting. I know this may sound like a lot of bullshit that I'm saying right now, but that's kind of like what I'm experiencing right now with this higher degree of ratio of the coffee. I mean, of course it's a little weaker, but it seems like it's a little bit even more balanced compared to the 1:15 that I'm used to. Yeah, it's a little bit too delicate for me, but it still works. And you know, it's pretty cool though, in general, how you can really play and manipulate coffee without changing so many different variables. In this case, the only variable that we changed was the ratio. And you see how, at least for what I'm tasting in this particular coffee, this particular moment, is that it's very pronounced. You can see the actual differences of what I'm actually tasting. So by just changing the degree of the ratio, You're getting a different experience when you're drinking the coffee. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. What kind of experience do you really want to have when you're drinking coffee? It may be different for whichever coffee that you may be drinking. But in this case, I do like the 1:16 ratio. I think the 1:17 kind of leaves the cup of coffee a little desired compared to the 1:16. 1:16 is a good sweet spot. And I'm wondering if that's the case in general. Probably I should start exploring more of the 1:16 ratio, because that could be where it can be. And, you know, the higher ratio that you go in with these cup of coffees, you will actually use a lot less compared to it being a little bit stronger. So let's taste these one more time and we'll go from there, okay? We're gonna do 1:15. Yeah, it's heavier. Even though it's cooler and it's heavier, it's still like that same type of dimension of the coffee. So it's not really changing as much. It's not as clear or understanding the different flavors that I'm tasting. It does have like an orangey taste to it, but there's no real sweetness in this coffee. Let's taste the 1:16 one more time. Yeah, it's even more pronounced. Like I said, it's delicate, but you can taste a little bit more of the orangey type of taste. And it's slightly sweeter too. Like I said, that's where you can really see what the balance is. Meaning that you play around with the acidity of that particular coffee and you bring in some type of sweetness, and makes for a better cup. When something tends to be just one way or the other, to me, it's not as exciting as it should be. And in this case, the 1:16 ratio works out really well. I don't have any more water to clean my palate, but let's go ahead and have the 1:17 one last time. Yeah, I think it would be just a little bit stronger, like the 1:16. It would be better. Yeah, so we'll explore the 1:17 a little bit more, but at least for me right now, what I've been noticing is that the 1:16 ratio has been surprisingly a lot more balanced compared to the 1:15 ratios. And this isn't pour over, this isn't drip form. I wonder if it's more so the same also when you drink the cup of coffee as immersion. Could be, but taste, the biggest thing that I'm really understanding here, and I hope that you have a good takeaway, is that we gotta challenge our preferences at times, because they may have changed for whatever reason. It's a good lesson to do. So this is Oki at Everyday Beans signing off, and let me know what you think about this. Talk to you later. Bye.